We good? We good. All right, here we go. Goes live. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to, or more appropriately, welcome back to, Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and a Streisand effect because it's an opportunity to go ahead and have a bitch fest in a safe environment. And that's a little bit more accurate than you might otherwise think. And part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as the Sick Boy, otherwise known as Shujin Tribble. And you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Good to be back with you. Yeah, apologies on last week. I came down with something that had been circulating through the shop. No, it was not the big bad, but I was definitely not in a condition to be talking for any real length of time. And I was tired off my ass. So, bonus. It's going to be a very thin group at the moment, at least we'll see how this plays out. Because from the Midwest of the US, where things are blowing and blowing and blowing, and probably not her, Brigid Fitch is able to make it. Good evening.
Hey there.
Yeah, right now it's just the
It's
two of us.
cold.
Yeah,
It's
it is cold.
windy.
It's January in North America, and this is kind of to be expected. But still, it doesn't make it any much better, really, when all is said and done. Uh, you've at least got a little bit of a nicer part of it all, because where you are, you don't have to deal with the Great Lake effect snow that comes through every once in a while.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yesterday it just rained really, really hard and changed over to snow and got really windy and now it's just cold.
yeah, which is perfect if ever you wanted to make sure that you completely insulated and airproofed your car doors, because that's what ends up happening. You get all that rain, and then all of a sudden it's just frozen solid. And that's a great way to have things operate, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's always lots of fun trying to get in.
Yeah. Yep. The only way to get into that point is a can of Aquanet and a Zippo lighter. I don't know that that's necessarily the best way, but that's one way. Unless you've spent the money, got
Isopropyl
yourself a.
alcohol works too.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
If you
you could
have a
do
spray
that.
bottle.
That's fine.
Uh-huh.
Or you could get, one of those cool remote car starter things and hope that you remember to turn it on for heat. I have a bad habit of turning off the fan and the air on my car. Not that I've got a remote starter, so, it doesn't really matter.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. So, yeah, hi guys, we're back. It's nice to be back with you. As always, if you'd like to join us while we're doing this, feel free to join us over on YouTube. We try to get recording every weekend when I'm not sick and can't talk or hold my breath worth a damn. But if you do join us, you can be over there in the live chat. Stephanie, good morning. Yeah, we were having a little bit of a chat before things got started about how it's kind of chilly over there in the UK. Can't imagine why. Oh, right. January. Yeah, it's not fun. I'm just hoping that you guys stay, relatively safe. Um, I mean, we talked about it during the summer that in the UK this past summer it was abominably hot, and I'm really hoping that you guys are staying relatively moderate right now, because that ain't no fun. Just be safe. DJ Mooncheeks, you made it. Hi, back, and Felis, there you are. It's good to have you guys with us. Um, so Mooncheeks, I made it home in time for this. Yeah, let's take the wife type out for Italian at a restaurant that specializes in calamari. Oh, yeah, probably not such a great Um, on the other side of it, though, I've had really good calamari. I've had really bad calamari. I've had really bad calamari. And for those of you that don't know what the difference is, um, go to an office supply store and get those really big um, rubber bands that you'd use for file folders, and chew on those for a while. That's bad calamari. And if you recognize what that feels like, you've had bad calamari.
Yep.
But what can you do? But it's good to have you guys back. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Being that it is just the two of us, I'm not anticipating going a full 2 hours, not by a long shot. But at the same time, we'll get through what we want to get through because, well, that's what we're here for, to kind of blow up steam for exactly that reason. Otherwise, what the hell's the point, right? So let's do that. I'll get things rolling. We'll get the opening started. We'll have the horrible scopes, and we'll kind of roll from there. So let me go ahead and do that. 5 minutes on the clock. Your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Ashamed. Now there is a thing about shame that some people remember about, some people don't. Shame is supposed to be a way for society to explain in gentle terms, you really shouldn't be doing that, and don't do that again. And sometimes that works, sometimes it don't. What is or isn't working at this point, we're not really going to delve into, because that's a whole other thing right there, and we may end up touching on some of it tonight, but this is an external thing. This is something that collectively we look at how people operate, and we try to explain to them, look, this is wrong. You should be ashamed of what you're doing, and you should stop it, because it's, call it peer pressure if you want to. But it's part of the guiding principles of what should and shouldn't be done, because collectively we've decided this is good, this is not good, this is bad, this is harmful, this is supportive, and, you kind of gauge things from there. In this particular instance, the word very specifically, ashamed, is the internal version. And I had a moment this week that I am ashamed of. I did something I shouldn't have. I did something stupid. I let something get to me at a personal level that I shouldn't have. Because I know better. I should know better, and yet it still happened. That's not the worst part of it. I mean, that's something that ends up happening. We'll eventually have that happen. It's just the nature of, being in society. What happened is that not only did something get to me at a personal level, I didn't even realize it until it was pointed out to me. And then, worse, is that it felt like that's just the way that it's supposed to normally be for me. Now, I know I'm kind of vague booking about what exactly it is, and I don't want to go into the specifics of it, but that's the long and short of it. I had something get to me on a personal level that otherwise shouldn't have. I didn't even realize in the moment, because reasons. And then once it was pointed out and I recognized, okay, yeah, this is the wrong thing, this is not how it's supposed to work, I felt like that's just the way it's supposed to be. And that's not a great thing to have happen. I mean, when something like that happens, when you have something that like gets at you personally, that at that level, you should just or at least I think you should just realize what it is that's going on, cleanse your mind, take a couple of seconds, deep breaths, drink, preferably, well, I mean, preferably not something, alcoholic. Yes, I've still got a bottle of alcohol over here. Leave me alone. And just, recenter yourself, reset, and then go back and do what it is that you were supposed to be doing without all that splinter under the fingernail thing going on. And what's so shameful to me is that it's been so long. I don't know, or at least I didn't, how to just let part of that go. I didn't know that I could just ask for help. I guess is really what it came down to. I could have. I probably should have. Definitely should have. But I couldn't. Because it didn't even occur to me. After so many years of having to just do and have to rely on only myself, I didn't know how to ask for help. In a lot of ways, I still don't. But the piece about being ashamed of what you've done is that there is the opportunity to learn. So I'm going to try to learn. And with any luck, I won't have to go through that again. Because if I do, that's not going to end well for anybody. So with that wonderful uplifting moment, how about we go ahead and get into the lighter stuff, get the horrible scopes, and have a little bit of fun. Because Lord knows I put through a lot of work and a lot of sweat into this week because, well, I keep doing them, even during my downtime, because that's kind of the way that it works. So, folks, it is time for the horrible scopes. If you know what your astrological sign is, cool. If you don't, you can just find yourself a D12 with the little squigglies on it, memorize what they are, roll it out, and choose entirely at your discretion. And if you need one of those D12s, get in touch with the nice folks over there at Heart of the Game Fredonia. They'll take your money. I don't know if they can mail you one, but I mean they'll happily take your money if you want to go ahead and buy one and keep it on commission or so. I don't know. Let them know I sent you, because I mean any opportunity for them to get a little something is always nice. So hail Fredonia. That's the home of the Blue Devil. Now, even though it's only just barely into the new year, you need a vacation. And since we're nothing if not cheap, we'll just tell you where you should go even if you can't afford it. And no, we're not going to tell you to go to hell. Chances are you've already been told that enough times this week. So, buckle up, get out your credit cards, and let's see where everybody gets to get shuttled off to this week, shall we? Aries, we're dropping you off just north of the Dominican Republic at Turks and Caicos. Caicos? Caicos. Sure. I don't remember how it's supposed to be pronounced. This collection of roughly 100 islands is popular with honeymooners, and for good reason. Sparkling white sand, crystal clear water, and nearly 350 miles of colorful coral reef. Be sure to spend a day or two lounging on Grace Bay Beach with plenty of opportunities to snorkel, scuba dive, and ride horses along the coast. So this week, be sure to check your horse's belly strap before you go riding. Not because you're liable to fall, but because you want to know if you're on a stallion or a mare. Because trust me, it will make a difference. There is a big difference in temperament between them.
Taurus. If you bend an ear, you'll enjoy all the art and flowers and canal-lined streets and coffee shops and high-end boutiques. Welcome to Amsterdam. Yes, you could enjoy the art or the food or the bicycling, and you can have to stop to enjoy the street food scene by eating herring or Dutch fries, or satisfy your sweet tooth with waffles. So this week, buy some waffles at your local grocery store and try to imagine they aren't cock waffles. We dare you.
And I need to take a pause for a moment because apparently we have a rejoining UnrenownedTech. And now I get to move around all of my names on the screen so that everybody knows who everybody is. How the hell are you, man?
Not too bad. I've been better.
Oh, you too, eh?
Still getting over COVID.
That'll do it. Well, that being the case, you feeling good enough to go ahead and continue on?
Sure, you want me to take over Gemini?
Be my guest.
Gemini. Well, if picturesque beaches and warm weather are what you're after, look no further than the British Virgin Islands. You'll have easy access to Smuggler's Cove and Brewer's Bay. And if you book your hotel room on Tortola, the area's largest island, you can hop between the smaller islands on boat tours. So this week, relearn all your maritime terminology before you try to steal a 20-sail pirate clipper. Oh, and buy some seasickness pills.
Yeah, nobody talks about it, but if you get seasick on a ship, you're supposed to go to the rail. Don't go into the head. Go to the rail. Cancer Moonchild, this might be a little weird, but you're getting sent to the UAE, United Arab Emirates, specifically to Dubai. You could do something simple, like visit the Dubai Mall, or how about indoor ski Dubai? And how about freaking out after getting to the top of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on the planet at over 800 meters tall? So this week, we know you wanted to know, so it would take just shy of 13 seconds for you to go splat after jumping off that thing with an impact of over 700,000 joules. So don't do that. It might not hurt you, but it'll hurt someone else.
Leo, we're sending you to the largest island in French Polynesia, Tahiti. And just to get you over your fear of the ocean, we booked you into a lavish overwater bungalow. And once you've stopped having a panic attack, there's prime snorkeling and surfing conditions all around you. If you're staying on dry land, you could look for more cultural activities like the island's temples or shop for Tahitian pearls. So this week, don't ask what a pearl necklace is worth here. Just trust us.
Yeah, go to Amsterdam for a pearl necklace. Virgo.
That was already earlier in the scopes.
Oh, got it. Virgo, your vacation is just a chance for you to get away from everything and be calm, peaceful, and serene. God, I wish I was Virgo. We're sending you to the lush Indonesian paradise of Bali. Right now it's the dry season, so beach time will be perfect. Follow that up with tours through some temples and finish up with dinner in the village of Kintamani, home to a towering and active volcano. So this week, if you take a Balinese cooking class and the instructors suggest heating your pan in the magma, it's a trick. Don't do it. Although there was one guy who tried to cook a steak with magma. Turned out it only cooked the surface of the steak. It wouldn't cook it all the way through because the heat was just so intense.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
Mm.
Libra, talk about an historic location. Your destination brings you to one of the original 7 natural wonders of the world. A place with literally one-of-a-kind scenery. You'll be looking through some of the over 600 islands and 1,500 plus species of fish, but you better be careful with them all. You'll be underwater up the coast of Queensland, Australia, and snorkeling in Australia's Great Barrier Reef. It will be a bit dangerous being that it's Australia, but we trust you not to do anything life-threatening. So this week, learn what Aussie plants you are not allowed to touch. Specifically the Gimpy Gimpy. Do not touch it. Seriously, this is no joke. You will want to die.
And if you're pale skin, bring SPF 100. It's no joke. A lot of people who visit Australia for the first time wind up in the hospital because they go to the beach and they have zero sunblock, or they have like SPF 10 or SPF 15, and it just does not cut it out there in Australia. Not if you're not a local.
Scorpio. The best part about your destination is you pretty well already know the local language and cuisine. Take your choices from historical landmarks and modern day attractions. London, England is a world unto itself. Do things the easy way. Join a tour that takes you to the Tate Modern Art Institution, Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London, Borough Market, and the British Museum. And once you're done there, have a sit down classic afternoon tea. But plan on a weekend trip to share a Sunday roast at a local pub. So this week, get used to the taste of malt vinegar because you will be shot on sight for trying to put ketchup on your fish chips.
Ironically, one of the easiest ketchups to make is malt vinegar, crushed tomato, and sugar. So if you got some granulated sugar and you want the sweetness to go along with the malt vinegar, just sprinkle that on there. Just don't try to put tomato on it. Sagittarius, excuse me. Not only are you headed to a beautiful city overlooking the Balearic Sea, but you'll get an amazing theme song out of it. You're headed out to Barcelona, Spain. Walk through the medieval architecture. Take in the intricate Basilica della Sagrada Familia and enjoy Antoni Gaudi's? Gaudi? God, I can never get that one right.
Gaudi.
Gaudi, whimsical creations in Park Güell. Spend some time in the water at Barceloneta Beach before checking out the restaurants and bars along Las Ramblas at all hours of the night, which will be perfect for your jet lag brain. So this week, find your old Spanish notes from high school and try to remember if you were taught Castilian Spanish or not. It will make a difference in how you're treated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, having dealt with people from Spain, like in the Spanish military, yeah, there's a big difference.
Yes, there is.
And
Capricorn.
I know that, go ahead.
Capricorn, regardless if you say it Caribbean or Caribbean, you're headed to the mountainside resort of St. Luca. Planning on swimming and relaxing in the ocean? Head to Redoute Beach or Anse Chastenay. Pretty sure I got that pretty barred, but whatever. Want a little more adventure? Try ziplining through the Chasen region's rainforest. It's the dry season now, so it'll be a little bit more expensive, but considering what the weather and food will be like, it'll be worth it. So this week, stop being stingy and just buy a new bottle of sunscreen. That last one expired in the 20-teens.
Aquarius. You want to claim your onophile, do you? Well, we're shipping you off to Santorini, Greece. It's the top honeymoon destination with breathtaking sunsets, whitewashed villages, and colorful beaches. History buffs could check out ancient Thera and then get your wine tasting in while visiting Central Santorini's flying tours. And I'm probably butchering this. The best part of the whole vacation is alfresco dinner at Amode Bay. So this week, make sure you have lots of memory storage for your camera and a proper power adapter so you don't blow it up this time.
I'm going to forgive you, considering, everything that's listed there is probably just Greek to you, so, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Shujin, I'll let you do the last part that's in parentheses at the end of this one. Pisces, have we got something special for you? Someone, and we're not naming names, actually paid for a certain some pony to get, and I quote, a naughty scope. So, Roxy, you're getting sent to Negril, Jamaica to spend a week at Hedonism 2. You're booked in mid-March for Hedo Swing Breakers, with your choices of fun like a boozy Easter egg hunt, truth or dare Jenga, a rave igloo, dinner on the beach, or a car wash. That's right. It's a clothing optional all adult resort hosting a huge lifestyle party for couples and thruples ages 19 to 45. Oh, wait. You've already aged out of that bracket. Oh, shoot. Um, could just stay home and be nude all you want instead. It's a lot cheaper too. Sorry.
Yeah, that good enough for you, Cal? Oh, right. Yeah. It was supposed to be done. Okay. Oops.
That's your horoscopes for today.
Yes, those are your horrible scopes for the week. Remember, if you like what you got, you're Callie because you paid for. Okay, I'm just really bad at this whole keeping a secret thing. Apparently, if you want a better or a naughtier one for yourself or someone else, all you need to do is bribe me. Get in touch and ask. Or conversely, if you'd like to help out just a little bit, take a swing over to the coffee page, coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard, because I figured I might as well just put it out there and see if anybody throws a little bit of money my way. Some people have, so thank you. I'll have these posted online at the end of the week. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, BlueSky. You need a BlueSky invite? Let me know. I can see what I can do about that, because I've got plenty of them. Because, I basically know nobody and do nothing, and just the people that I do know that are already there, so don't really need much of them. It's episode 478 on the docket, Your Honor. Goodbye, 23. Start the clock. Yeah, kind of missed out on, the end of the year and the beginning of this because, got sick. Again, sorry. It is what it is. So we're kicking 23 to the curb because, very happy to be able to do that, even if some of it is still going to continue to reverberate now. But again, we're starting the clock because this is going to be a mad dash to November here in America. I don't know about anybody else. I'm not really looking forward to it, but that's what we've got to look forward to. I'm not happy, not thrilled, but with any luck, we've got a little bit that we can do to kind of help things along. What little we can. So what I put in the show notes, by the way, was a piece that I heard about over on Cognitive Dissonance podcast. And yeah, I know I've tried to have my little fun at their expense, and they doesn't work for reasons. But the Salon article that they made mention to kind of caught my attention, and I figured, okay, let me take a look and see what it is. And the name of it, there we go, the name of the article was Disturbing Pattern, the most unhinged right-wing conspiracy, read the rest of it over here, right-wing conspiracy theories of 2023. And, they started to read through some of the stuff in there, and we're not going to go through most of the stuff that's over there. But there is one piece in particular that I saw that I wanted us to kind of deal with. And if you guys want to pull it up for yourselves, feel free to. The line in particular, and I told Brigid about this line, is the heading says, and I quote, "After Hunter Biden tax charges, right-wing media began circulating conflicting conspiracy theories." Now, I'm not looking to talk in particular on what those conspiracy theories are, because it's kind of immaterial. Because the fact that groups that are involved in this whole dissemination of disinformation campaign are all forwarding information that conflicts with everything else. One group says one thing, another group says another thing, they're in direct conflict with each other, and nobody wants to say, well, they can't all be right, but they can all be wrong. I'm just sick and tired of this whole damn thing, and I figured, what better opportunity to kind of semi-softball into the whole thing without going into the shitstorm that is the American political system right now, because Lord knows we're going to have plenty of time to do that before, November. So, guys, the we've kind of talked on several occasions about exactly this kind of thing. Conflicting information that says that this group says one thing, the group says another thing, and usually in reference to, religion, because that's one of the big things that we've always talked about, especially, conflicting things with the Christian Bibles. Pretty much all of them, regardless of whose variation it is. Even if it's that, dead English guy's version, but, be that as it may. And I'm wondering, which items have you ever heard of where people have said things that conflict with other conspiracy stupidity, and which ones should we laugh at? Which ones should we cringe at? Which ones should we just go, yeah, somebody needs to pick up a history book again? So what have we got?
We're not helping.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm worried about. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to read over the stuff going on. I'm sorry. Mooncheeks is complaining that can't currently vote. Maybe the next election. Sorry, but hey, look at it this way. Um, it gives you an excuse to harass the Board of Elections and double check and make sure that they're actually doing things the right way. I don't know. It could be that maybe you can get in. Maybe it's that you can't. In any case, we will definitely do our best to make sure that we're upholding your very good Canadian values. I mean, we're working on it. I mean, we're trying to get that marijuana thing taken care of. So that's a whole other thing. Look at the bright side. Hey, there's no moose here in the United States. I would really like to believe that, but I mean it's probably not really true. You're somewhere over there in the Pacific Northwest.
Did you guys watch the Batman, the 2022 version, with Robert Patterson and Zoe Kravitz?
That's the one that's labeled literally the Batman, right?
Right, the younger gentleman playing Batman instead of older actors this time.
No, didn't see that.
Okay, well, in that one he fights the Riddler, who he the Riddler actually is doing. It's interesting in that one, and this is going to be somewhat spoiler-ish. The Riddler is targeting bad guys because of a familial death, and so he starts by targeting the bad guys. He ends up uncovering this major conspiracy to going on in Gotham. Really dark one, and even involves the Wayne family, which is interesting. Um, and I'm watching this going, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if there was someone that smart but crazy and determined who, in this world of ours, was in a position to uncover these kinds of things, uh, which would take, some bad guys doing some uh, bad paper trail cleanup. Sorry, my throat dries out real quick.
Understand.
And I remember watching it going, if somebody did that in reality here in the US, of course the police, the politicians, and all them would laud that person as, a psycho, a criminal, blah, 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 especially with the murder part, and let's admit, and let's face it, murder is a bad thing because we don't want it happening to us. Therefore, we also don't want it happening to others, generally speaking.
Agreed.
I do not count capital punishment as murder. Yes, it's unaliving somebody, but it's society. Society has agreed on a methodology and a reasoning versus somebody just going out and doing it of their own free will. So it's a fine line, to be honest, a very fine line with a large gray area on both sides.
I'll go with that.
But in reality, if the Riddler were to exist and have done something like that here in the US that uncovered massive corruption and so on, I think at this point in US history, there's quite a large sum of Americans that would laud the Riddler as a hero. An anti-hero, more likely, but still, there would be a large portion of the population cheering that person or persons on. And it's bad when you're watching the movies and going, I kind of empathize with the villain. I mean, I look around and I go, we have a middle class in this country that has forgotten what the strength and power of collective bargaining. And having forgotten that, we've been being taken advantage of for many decades now. And the middle class is shrinking. And there's two sides to the middle class now. The one side that is struggling to continue to climb the ladder of the crumbling middle class, and those who have fallen. And that's it. As inflation continues to go up, as greed continues to go up, as socialism for the rich, but capitalism for the poor continues to be main isms in this country, it's that middle class ladder is going to continue to crumble. It's going to be harder and harder to stay ahead of it breaking down. And there's a point where, okay, that's it. That's the cutoff. No more middle class. You either have it or you're done.
Okay.
At the rate that we're going, I'm not saying it can't be stopped. I'm not saying things can't change.
No, I get that. I'm trying to connect in my head where that connects to the overall topic that I was trying to get to.
With the voting, upcoming voting and everything else, it's going to be critical. With what we see going on with the Republicans tearing themselves apart, with the Democrats not being able to, work together as a team like they should be, it's just going to be a cluster this upcoming voting season. And the only thing to do is actually vote for the people who have actually looking out for the general populace, for the ones who look out for the rich and those small group of people.
Okay, I'm gonna gonna hold on for just a second. Um, you folks over there on YouTube are probably hearing the same thing that I am, and it is entirely possible that the problem is on my side. Reminding you that we do this conference via Discord, so I'm kind of at the mercy of whatever is going on with the networking line. I have seen a couple of notifications coming up right now that's been complaining about bit rates and whatnot. So if things are getting a little squirrely on your side, I apologize. They're not any much better on my side because you're literally hearing exactly what's coming my way. So we're
Is it my voice?
no. The problem is that I was having um, a lack of data coming through from part of while you were talking, and with the storm and whatnot that's expected over here, I'm not entirely surprised of how some things have gotten a little dicey right now. It's not your fault.
I see Mooncheeks is saying Port Tech is breaking up. Yeah, it's also partially my voice too.
No,
My
this was not your voice.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, we don't need conspiracy theories like what was going on in the Batman movie because we see, if we look at the history of our politicians and our public figures, we see that they went to the same schools, the same classes, the same country clubs, the same gyms and things like that. They don't need, and I've said this in the past, you don't need a conspiracy for them to understand what's in their best interest versus what's in us being the general populace best interests. And so when I hear people say, oh, the politicians aren't really out to get you, that's just a conspiracy theory. It's like the politicians in went and stayed and worked till 4 o'clock in the morning to make it legal for underage children to work in meat factories. But when it comes to legislation to give a child something to eat because their family doesn't make enough money, they don't have the time of day. That's not conspiracy. That's fucking fact.
I will agree.
Because the politicians and the companies benefit from child labor. You know who doesn't benefit from child labor? Children. Who doesn't benefit from child labor? Children's families. They don't benefit at all. Because when we had child labor in this country, I mean like full blown child labor, people had to have more kids because their kids kept dying from labor.
Yeah. There's a piece about this whole thing that
I'm sorry if I seem a little scatterbrained. More
earlier
than usual.
who said it over in the chat? Stephanie had said it. You're assuming that they once read a history book. Unlikely. I disagree. And this, you'll see why I'm pulling this one back. Have these people read history books? Parts of because they went through school. Yes, they did. But the biggest problem is that there has been selective omissions. And usually intentional. So, in other words, willful ignorance. So things like kids dying from black lung, people dying from black lung, it's just, it doesn't matter. Because anything that brings in more work is always a good thing. Regardless if I mean, kids don't necessarily need to count to 10. I mean, that's perfectly fine. You can count to 8.5 if you got, enough fingers and toes. Because, I mean, what's so wrong with that? Because it's all about the money. It's all about the wealth. It's about the greed. and any opportunity to whittle away a couple of corners in order to gain more wealth at the risk of digits doesn't really much matter there, does it?
Yeah.
We
I
got to
used
go
to
through
work
this
in
shit again.
construction. I used to work in construction, which I think I've mentioned in the past. And I was talking to an operating engineer. Those are people who work any kind of machinery that has a seat and controls. And one of the operating engineers was a real old timer. He was talking about the days of steam powered cranes and such. And he was saying when he was a little kid, he met some old timers from the steam powered era. And he was saying that um, the old timers from the steam powered era, there were two kinds. There were the kinds that had all their fingers and the kinds that had a couple fingers. And he was saying that what they would do is if they the ones who were smart, when they suspected a leak, they'd pick up a stick and they'd pass it through the area where they suspect the leak was. And the stick, if it came in contact with the invisible steam spray under very high pressure, which might not be visible depending on circumstances, it would, scar the stick or break the stick depending on the thickness and kind of wood and all that shit. But the thing is it'd be evident. The other ones who were missing part of a finger or so would be the idiots who would reach their hand in there without first testing with the stick. And because there wasn't any real unionization back then, nobody really took care of them. You go to the hospital, get it sewn up, and get back to work. And they were pointing it out because a lot of the cranes that we had around were hydraulic systems. And while they're not steam, they're under the same kind of pressures. A pinhole leak in a hydraulic line under the multi-ton cranes, you could sever a pinky. And so the old timer was telling me, he was like, look, you're part of a union, you've got excellent health benefits, and everybody will take care of you. But to save yourself a trip, if you suspect a leak, grab a stick. It's not part of the book, but it'll save you a trip to the emergency room and a whole bunch of medical claims and possible medical, what do they call it? The money you receive for medical disability, I guess.
There.
Yeah. But there are companies right now that just a couple years ago during the height of COVID, they had for their employees, they had programs where if employees got hurt or sick under certain conditions, the employees would be compensated, and they got rid of it, citing, oh, well, we can't keep our stores open if we pay them this stuff anymore. They went after, the train operators. They've gone after warehouse workers. They've gone after people who stock your local grocery store. You don't need conspiracy theories. Oh, Trump's trying to do this, that, and the other thing. Really? You know what? So are many other politicians. Trump's just one of the worst ones. He's a cult of personality. There are other ones that are a cult of personality. Ron.
Yeah, I heard you as far as to Ron, and yeah, Ron DeSantis is definitely one of them.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ron DeSantis is actually smarter than Trump. That's the scary part.
Yeah, let's kind of let's kind of use that as a stepping stone at this point for just a couple of minutes, because I want to kind of get a lot more back into where I wanted to very specifically be at this point. The idea of people holding on to these conflicting conspiracy theories is something that has really become really curious for me, because I've seen a number of these interviews that have happened with oh god, what the hell is his name? Jordan. Am I thinking of the right guy?
Peterson?
I don't remember. Guy. He's gone to a whole bunch of these far right MAGA r- rallies and interviewed people, and he was on Comedy Central or I think it was Comedy Central on Trevor Nolan's show.
Hmm.
God, I forgot what the hell his name is. Somebody's gonna remember who I'm thinking of. Anyway, and he's talked to these people and got the information from them. It's like, okay, well, what kind of great questions, softball questions, things like, well, what kind of things did Trump do specifically that helped benefit you, or what did he do that was very specifically beneficial for the country that you can name? And of course, there's these nebulous things going on, and you know. Everything was just better. Everything was better for me, and it was just better. And can't name a single thing. But the most entertaining part has been when these people have been saying how they believe that Joe Biden is not the legitimate president and has been replaced with somebody who isn't him and doesn't have the presidential seal and isn't actually operating the government. And that's when he goes ahead and he's just like, huh, well, that's interesting, because every time he's on doing press information or speaking somewhere, he has the presidential seal right on the podium in front of him. Oh, it's a fake. Okay, well then, the stuff going on with Ukraine and helping the Ukrainians out there with the war effort, we can thank Donald Trump for that because he's in charge of the military. Oh no, there's a good military and then there's bad military, and that all going on, that's Biden's job. That's the bad military that's doing that. Oh, and Donald Trump is handling the good military. Yeah, exactly right. That's the way that it's working. And these people just don't even recognize what it is that's going on, what they're talking about in the reality that they're trying to scope out themselves and everyone else. And how do we listen to these people and take them seriously in any way, shape, or form, seeing where they're literally doing the whole these things don't fit together at all kind of thing? I'm not even going to do the whole round peg in a square hole thing because I've seen that video. That doesn't work that way. Just doesn't work that way. How do we even think about these people? Can we even help these people?
I was listening to a professor talk about how he had to deal with pseudoscience. I think there was also an article, um, but I was listening to a YouTube version, and they were very similar. Might have been the same professors, I don't remember, or scientists or whatever. But the general point of both the article and the YouTube video that I watched, mind you, these are people who are, you know, um, actual like degree holding in their professions, not people who have a degree in potpourri and are trying to give you feng shui advice so that your meridians align and you'll have a better job kind of bullshit.
All right.
None of that happy hippie holistic horseshit. God, I love that phrase. And they were saying that when they're dealing with people who are believers in conspiracies and pseudoscience and all this other stuff, it's emotional. It's not logic that got them there. It's emotion. And that you can't tell them that they're stupid or that they're behaving stupidly, or that they're not using logic, or that they're not using critical thinking skills. You have to get them to explain their stance and explain where they got their information from, and to have them be open to conversation with you and open to exploring other avenues and sources of information, the actual scientifically founded information and such. Because there's a lot of people that don't like the fact that science says, hey, you know what? This is what we found out and you're screwed. Have a nice day. Versus somebody can look at pseudoscience and go, oh, this is giving me the warm fuzzies and I can eat my cake too. So why would I listen to science when this pseudoscience, which has science in the name, is telling me everything I want to hear? Same with conspiracies. This conspiracy aligns with my firmly held beliefs that I think this politician is, uh, writing legislation to turn all the kids gay, because I think that politicians are trying to turn them gay, and this conspiracy aligns with it. It's an echo chamber. It makes them feel good to hear their thoughts come out of somebody else's mouth, and the only way to engage with that is to get them to talk and to get them to hear the things that are coming out of their mouth and so on and so forth. You can't have a conversation with somebody who believes that 5G waves are causing them to have migraines when they're in the middle of a migraine and you're standing near them playing on your cell phone. Yeah, you're not actually causing their headache, but there's no way you can convince them otherwise. On the other hand, if you're sitting down and they have their mystical orb of whatever, or uh, you know, ginger ale of anti 5G infusion, whatever, and they're not suffering from a headache, you say, why do you think the 5G is giving you headaches? Well, I know it's giving me a headache. It's like, okay, well, how do you know this? Get them to talk about how they've come to that conclusion. Who told them? Where did they get their information from? How are these sources, validated? What methodology was used? And so on and so on and so on. Unfortunately, you do have scientists and doctors out there who engage in pseudoscience and conspiracy theories and such, and that doesn't help us at all.
No.
Now, when we have the organizations that oversee the doctors and such cracking down on the ones who are spreading pseudoscience and conspiracies, that does help a bit. This person lost their accreditation because they were spreading lies. Okay, great. So now we know that this person was taken out because they were spreading lies. You believe this person. However, this organization that they function under, that they, were originally part of, has said that this sort of thing's not true. So why do you continue to believe this person? I think it's a conspiracy. Okay, well, why do you think it's a conspiracy? And it's a long, drawn out thing. There's no quick way to turn these people around. And the problem is that there's more people who are getting, standing behind their emotionally felt beliefs than there are the ones sitting down and going, why do I feel this way about this?
Got an example that kind of showcases a good portion of this. Well, I was still living on Long Island, so this is going back, pre-92. I was helping out with the ham radio community out there. I am a licensed ham radio op. I haven't done it in a very long time, unfortunately, because reasons. But
you still have your license, though, right?
I do.
Cool.
I do.
Maybe you can teach me sometime.
What had happened was, one of the guys in the group, one of the slightly older timers, had gotten himself a low band antenna. For those of you that are kind of wondering, very specifically, somewhat specifically, it's what's typically referred to as a beam antenna, a Yagi antenna. And it had I believe it was 5 cross beams on it. And it was a relatively, relatively large looking thing. And if you're wondering what these kinds of things look like, think of the old TV antennas, only much larger and fewer cross beams to go along with it. So it needs to be mounted, above a house, and there are federal regs in place so that ham radio people can do this. Generally speaking, they can put an antenna at a reasonable height above their house. Generally speaking, almost anywhere they live, with some exceptions for being around an airport, and because of how important ham radio is to communities and for emergency operations. Well, Guy got all of the stuff from the town that he needed for, construction experiences, that kind of thing. Even though he didn't necessarily need to do most of it because of, preemption. But still went through, all the regular channels and had it inspected and waited intentionally for the complaints to come in. And they did. And people around did got in touch with the town, said that they were having problems with their televisions, with their cordless phones. Remind you, cordless phones used to be a thing. With their regular phones, with computers, etc., ad nauseum. Told them, okay, you got to come in, you got to answer to these charges. Okay. Goes in. They go ahead. They tell them about all the stuff. They're having a town hall meeting and the whole thing. And well, these are all the things. How do you respond to it all? He responded by having the fire marshal come to his defense, because he intentionally said, I would like to have the fire marshal explain what it was that was done and what was inspected. Well, it seems kind of odd. Why? Well, because all of the power that I have running into my ham radio shack, I have been on good terms with the emergency services folks, and the fire marshal would know a little bit more about, making sure that everything looked to be on the up and up. Okay, maybe not a licensed electrician, but fire marshals have seen their fair share of, problems after the fact. Okay, so what have you got? That antenna is not hooked up to anything. Come again?
Yep.
The antenna was installed physically. The location for the feed line that feeds it to a transmitter and receiver was sealed up so that it wouldn't come into any kind of water damage or anything like that. There are no wires connecting it to any equipment whatsoever. I inspected it earlier today to confirm that. It has not been used. It has not been energized. It has not been utilized in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So now, the reason why I'm telling you that is to tell you about this. The people who brought the complaints were the ones who now had to say the worst words in the world. I was wrong. And we've talked about this on many an occasion. The admission that you made a mistake in our culture is just a bridge too far for so many people. For school kids, especially. You made a mistake. When we're older, we know full well you made a mistake. Well, you didn't know. You made a mistake. Okay, learn from it. Let's go. But when it comes to what people think of as their integrity because of exactly that, the emotional part of it all, well, how do you talk them down? There's only two ways. You either gently lower them back down to the reality level, or you dope slap in the back of the head with a clue by 4.
Yeah,
There
you know,
is no two ways about it.
I think that was an episode of Don't Call or Better Call Saul or something, where a guy was talking about. It's a fictional show, but basically, this guy was trying to say that he was getting migraines from cell phones and things like that, and Saul snuck a cell phone on the guy, right? But of course, there was no battery in it, right? And he's like, you know, there's no battery in the phone or whatever, and you know that's why the guy wasn't having any headaches in the courtroom. He's like, well, what about the battery packs? I was like, oh yeah, yeah, and so he had him check his front pocket, and there was the cell phone battery pack sitting right next to his heart. No headache, no nothing. Case dismissed. Um, but I mean, we have plenty of people who they're willing to blame a misfortune of having the genetic predisposition for a headache or a migraine on something external just so that they can blame something else and point to it and all that. Now there are some people that when they get away from all the towns and they move out to the quiet areas of the world where there are no cell towers and such, they find themselves no headaches. Unfortunately, most of them don't attribute it to the fact that they're now in a low stress environment that's calmer, it's less noise. They're not around a lot of people. They're not around something that they have psyched them up into believing that causes them stress, which ramps up their stress and their anxiety, which are, if you've ever met anybody who is susceptible to migraines or suffers from them, stress and anxiety are freaking triggers for migraines.
Yep.
I think Brigid was trying to agree with me on that one.
You got that right.
There's also two other pieces, by the way. Felis, you're talking about a Yagi antenna, Shu. Yeah, I know, but most people don't recognize the term. We do because we deal with them because we do, but you call it a beam antenna and describe it as a TV antenna. I mean, there's also another thing I wanted to tell folks about. I had gotten long time ago a program called Tricorder. It literally looks like a tricorder on Android devices. Now, the best of my recollection, this program is no longer supported. It's no longer officially available, but I found the pack file because, I mean, I had it and I kept it because I've transferred different phones after all the years. It's great. It's a great looking thing. Let me make it a little bit brighter. So, it doesn't exactly look that great on the camera. All right, be that
I
as it may.
remember having the tricorder app on my Samsung Galaxy S. It was really neat.
There are a number of things that you can do on here. Not the least of which is it will pick up GPS signals so that you can figure out where all the satellites are overhead. There also used to be information about the solar activity off the sun, which is no longer supported, so it just doesn't do its thing anymore.
Yeah, if depending on the systems you have built into your phone, it could detect magnetism so it have a built-in compass. It could detect barometric pressure if your phone had that sensor. A later model phone I did had that, so I put the app on that, and that function was neat, especially because watching it during storms coming through my area, it was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. It was more a collection of utilities in an LCARS format on one screen or two screens.
The reason why I wanted to point this one out is for a button that you may not be able to see on the camera over here. No, can't really see it very well. One called ACO, acoustic. And what it does is it gives you a spectral analysis of the sounds that are going on around you. So if I'm quiet and I'm silent, you see that all the volume just goes all the way down.
Well, there's still background noise and such too.
Sure, but once I start talking, you see that everything starts popping up. Now the reason I'm pointing this out is that yes, the idea that radio waves are screwing with people. Yeah, no, we can pretty well definitively say that that doesn't really happen. But it is always possible, however unlikely, that there could be infrasounds that you won't be able to necessarily hear or pick up because, well, as we get older, our hearing gets worse because of too many Poison concerts at Jones Beach. But you get something like this, sometimes you can pick out sounds that are peaking, that are happening when you're otherwise quiet, and oh, well, there is something that's going on. Point that out because as somebody who has a lot of friends who have dealt with many people in the medical community who just don't want to believe that anything isn't really happening. Did I say that right? I probably didn't say that right. As an example, there's always a group who are just like, well, no, your medical stuff hasn't got anything to do with anything else other than, well, you just need to lose some weight. You just need to change part of your diet. You just need to get more exercise. And completely discount the idea that somebody is actually having a physical reaction to something. So if you kind of get the funny feeling that maybe you're getting annoyed by stuff or got some weird things going on, yeah, get yourself an acoustic test and just sit somewhere and just see if there's anything weird going on, somewhere in an area where you otherwise can't hear in sound. You might be surprised. And considering that the programs are free, I mean, it's not like it's going to charge you anything. So just keep that in mind because you never know. I mean, hell, when I was a kid, I used to be able to hear the black and white television set that we used to have downstairs. I used to be able to hear it upstairs in my bedroom with the door closed because I could hear the electronic hum of the innards hard at work. Can't do that anymore because my hearing's changed over the years, but then again, we also don't have, well, I do still have a tube TV, but I haven't turned that on in a long time. And Mooncheeks is saying wind whispers. Yeah, I guess that's one term for it. I guess where I'm going on that is just that, yeah, it's entirely possible that people are attributing things that don't really correlate, but doesn't mean that there isn't something there. It's just highly unlikely. Fun times, right? I guess the last thing I'm gonna have us deal with is I'm trying to figure out what piece in particular. You know what? I'm gonna leave aside the Salon article. We can all have a good laugh or cry as the case may be with that later. I want to hit this really, really, really quickly and call it a night because I'm doing all right at the moment. Almost. All right. That was the warding yawn that just came across my face. That's great.
Don't feel bad, man. I'm kind of fading.
That's all right. That's why I want to finish
Then
this
again,
off
I've
pretty
also got like a bunch of medicine going through my system right now, so.
good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, meaning 23, Fox News got hit with a lot of money in fines. And you know what? They lost a lot of money. Yes, they could have very easily have made that money back. I mean, $750 million is ain't exactly chump. It was three quarters, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And yes, they may have made that money back in subsequent months, but I saw an article, a blurb that said that Fox News has canceled all advertisements that they had otherwise previously sold to Mike Lindell and the My Pillow Company. And I would love to hear from you guys how much of this did hear and how much longer you think it's going to be before Mike Lindell starts whoring himself out. Well, I think I'll just leave it there because I don't think he's going to go to any television system worth a damn. Brigid, you've been very, very quiet, so I'm kind of
I'm
wondering.
thinking he's trying to throw his hat in with, some of the further right wing channels,
What you mean?
like a way in.
You mean like Newsmax?
Yeah, Newsmax. Trying to think what the other one is.
Blaze? I don't know that they're still in existence anymore, but oh,
You
one.
might even get desperate and do Alex Jones for all I know. That would be funny.
Yeah, that's yeah. Let's see, Alex, Tucker. They're basically just all on their own now. I think Bannon is just all on his own now too, and well, I think it's just really funny that it took an actual honest to God slap across the face. Like I said, $750 million. That's a lot of money. For Fox News to finally kind of have a, you'll pardon the expression, come to God moment, to realize, ooh, we better stop this before we have to pay more money again. Because you got to remember, it's not just $750 million in fines. There's lawyers' fees that are still a little bit in there somewhere, probably a little bit on top. So, good on them there. Stephanie's saying Lindell has set up his own channel, I believe. I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say I don't think that he would have. Even though there are plenty enough people who would probably do work, pro bono, shall we say, just because they believe in him, the idea that he'd be able to get any services or hardware to be able to do, no, there are no registrars that'll get a domain set up for free. There are no web hosting services worth a damn that would take him as a client. I'm quite certain. At least, here, it's entirely possible that some other countries might host it because they'll gladly take money from whomever just because. I'm thinking some very, very, very large and cold countries, shall we say. But he's one of those people that has just over and over and over again proven that he can't hold on to a single idea without conflicting it with something else. And I'm just very, very glad that he's gone and is going to bye-bye at this rate. So again, how much longer do you think it's going to be until he finally just declares bankruptcy and just doesn't have a choice in the matter?
No idea.
Probably sooner rather than later. I think he's probably pretty close.
Yeah, there is that. I forgot that there are a number of outlets that have discontinued sales of merchandise. Some months back, I recall. And Mooncheeks is, God, you killing me over here. You pay for this, we host, we take your money. Yes, American money still good, still good. Yeah. Is that a horrible accent? Yes, it is. And I will fully own up to that because I'm gonna go with that. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what ends up happening. Because only a couple of miles away, I've got somebody that has been flying the Trump 2020, got a new 2024 flag up on his business residence out over here. And I'm very much waiting to see what happens when this SOB finally ends up in prison. I can't wait. And it damn well better happen. Again, like Brigid said, sooner rather than later, because it's already been pushing way too far past the point of anybody else would have already been in.
If you're talking about Oompa Loompa Mussolini, he's not doing himself any favors in court and such.
Nope.
I mean, when the judge says, "Look, if your client wants to make closing arguments, they have to be in line with the case. They can't be defamation, meaning they can't be talking bad about the judge or the judge's people or the court system. It has to be related to the case." And, the attorney assures the judge that, "Oh, yeah, my client will be all prim and proper and, excuse me, do all the appropriate things that you would expect in a closing argument." And then he gets up there and what does he do? All the things he's not supposed to do, all the things that you would fire your own attorney over if your own attorney did that for closing arguments. It and then of course, the judge is like, "Sit down, shut up, Mr. Attorney, get your client under control." And of course, it's a conspiracy to keep them quiet, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
And the worst part is there are people that believe that. Again, it's all that whole not using critical thought. They're just using emotion. Some of the people who are agreeing with Trump are doing so because of like the sunk cost fallacy. They've invested so much into believing the guy that they don't want to come out and admit, like you said, they were wrong. You have the other ones who are just they drank the Kool-Aid. It's not a case of them not being willing to admit they're wrong. They have no capacity to understand that they're wrong. They have just gone bonkers into this shit. Their capacity for critical thought was probably not really much of it to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
Because as they continue to ban books, the kinds that teach people to think outside the box and to have different perspectives on things so that they can look at reality from multiple perspectives and come to better understandings and empathize and so on. Yeah, it's going to get worse.
And to that end, let's thank the people who are going out there trolling these school boards and reminding him about all of the pornography that's in those easily accessible books.
Yeah, like the dictionaries.
in
You heard about that, right?
in schools and the Bible. Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, the Florida school it made the news. I saw this; it was great. Among the, in case people haven't heard this, Florida banned a whole bunch of books, right?
As you
And
do. As you
as
do.
you do, yeah. And they say that they're protecting kids, so they're saying that they've got this really loose law that allows them to ban anything that anybody says, oh, hey, this has got inappropriate sexual whatever, blah, blah, blah. Now, the law is so broad of scope that the school district said, okay, sure. We're going to have to pull all our dictionaries. Now, mind you, these are not some like random third-party dictionaries. We're talking like Merriam-Webster dictionary, okay? And that level of notorious dictionaries, the kinds that we all grew up trusting and utilizing, some of us carrying portable versions of them in our back pocket, guilty as charged.
And still do.
Yeah, I
And
still have
some
one of
still
my
do.
from like 1970 something. Anyway, but I mean, these are like, you know, this is not smut. This is not pornography. This is not somebody trying to get somebody else to understand what homosexuality is, or trans, or any of that. This is just a dictionary that says this word means this thing, this word means this thing, this word means this thing. Have a nice day. But because the way the laws are written about sexual conduct, anything that's considered inappropriate, they pulled the encyclopedias and dictionaries. Why? Because it has detailed descriptions of what a penis is and a vagina and what sexual intercourse is and so on. And it falls under the scope of the law. And honestly, um, I would love to see. I'd love to see the parents actually get up and unelect all the politicians that were behind these laws and in support of these laws. I hope that the pulling of the dictionaries and the encyclopedias, the most innocuous of educational um, documentation that we have, is the wake up call to these adults to get out there and go, we don't want you on our school boards. We don't want you making our laws anymore. We don't want you interfering with our children anymore. Get the hell out and get some sensible, moderate of the road people in public office and in the school board systems that can sit down and go, look, we understand this. We also understand this. Let's find a middle ground. Okay. Let's not sacrifice the education of the children just because you believe in a conspiracy or you think that this is taking something too far. Let's find the middle ground. I really hope this is the wake up call that really smacks some people awake.
Rich, do you got anything left over? Because
Might as well be my closing stuff too, because I'm kind of my brain shot now at this point.
yeah, I'm starting
No,
to get a little long myself.
I don't really have anything.
That's all right. It's been one of those nights. Then I'm gonna end with something that I otherwise wouldn't think that I would do. I'm going to actually be counter to a piece that Tech just said. I don't want to be dealing with the middle ground anymore. I don't want to be looking in the middle no man's land between let's ban books and let's not. Now I know that's a very, very, very high view compared to what Tech was actually talking about, but the meaning basically still sits there because there have been so many times for groups that have just said, well, let's go ahead and do this super extreme thing that has us instituting our moral quandaries on everybody else, and everybody else kind of going, no. And I'm not going to go and go looking for the whole, well, what's the nice way, what's the nice give and take where, nobody's happy, but, at least everybody's satisfied. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm sick and tired of it. For me, I can't do that anymore. Every once in a while, I rewatch The West Wing because it is a great series, and I wish that government actually operated in such a fashion that it made sense. And I guess that's how I know it's complete. It's complete fiction because it does. But the scenes where they deal with the government being shut down because the Speaker of the House, this young whippersnapper kid, says, "Look, you we agreed on a cut of 1%. Well, we've got to make it now a cut of 3% because we just waited too long, and no, we had an agreement." I'm done with this bad faith shit now. So these groups that want to go ahead and try to pull the wool out from under, want to pull the rug, want to argue bad faith these days, no. Does that make me the cynic of the group? Don't care. But I'm done. Done giving an inch.
See, I'm more of when I say moderate, middle of the road kind of thing, I'm talking. There's a book by Marianne Wiggins called John Dollar. I don't know if anybody here has read it. I did before the school that my sister went to, which the senior class was reading it. I'm a couple years behind my sister, but I like to read. And my reading comprehension was very high, especially at that time. John Dollar is filled with symbolism. So much symbolism. It also has sexual content and a bunch of other things in it too. Death, a lot of death, a lot of just a lot of um, things that generate a lot of different kinds of emotion. There's horror in it. It's got historical fiction in it. It's a very complex novel. It's a very complex piece of literature. John Dollar is not a book I would expect to find in an elementary school, let alone a junior high. So if it was in a junior high or an elementary school, and a parent was very upset by it, it was like I could understand because it uses symbolism to describe a little girl having her first period. That's probably not the best for an elementary school or a junior high student. High school, sure. Okay, they already have started learning about that stuff, so on and so forth. So I can understand sitting that down. But when they start trying to ban books because it's got a little boy who's got two moms or two dads, you're right. There is no negotiating with those assholes. Those assholes need to sit down and shut the fuck up. There are families that are different than the standard of one wife, one husband, one daughter, one son. Okay. And the fact that we have people trying to not acknowledge those other family dynamics does nothing to help our younger generations. Does nothing to help them. It only hurts them when you repress those things. Those people, I agree with you 100%. They need to be told to sit down and shut up. Because they're not banning books like John Dollar. They're banning books like, hey, my family went through a horrible tragedy, and when I was a kid, this is what I found to help me through it. That might be a good book for a counselor to go, hey, this kid's going through the same thing. Hey, why don't you come over here and we'll read this together?
Okay.
Those can be healing books. Those can be good books. So I'm with you.
Okay. So
for the most part, I'm with you. Yes.
Okay.
So you're not the black sheep. That's all. I'm sorry. My brain's a little muddy again. I'm just trying to let you know that you're not the black sheep.
We're calling it a night. Everybody, thanks for being with us. Of course, it's good to be back, and thanks for being patient for getting everything rolling over here. Over at chat, Stephanie, Mooncheeks, Felis, guys, thank you very kindly, as always. Nice to have you back. And of course, as always, you know, what with the weather going nuts and whatnot, please just be safe, be healthy out there. Over here, just to give you a real quick recap, over here in the Western New York area, Erie County, we're under travel ban as of 9 p.m. Saturday, tonight for me, through part of tomorrow. I don't know how long it's going to be lasting. The Buffalo Bills football game that was supposed to be happening Sunday afternoon has been postponed.
Canceled.
Yeah, it's been postponed to Monday. So, yeah, we're not really worried about that right now. It'll be what it'll be.
I was actually looking forward to watching that game, and it's just like, oh man, I hate when the weather does that. But you know, it can't be helped. It's the weather.
Look at it this way: it would be an unfair advantage for the Buffalo Bills. So
yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
It actually would be. So
if they postponed it to what was it? I think Tuesday or Wednesday, we're supposed to get snow.
Yeah, no, it's going to be it's supposed to be held Monday. So we'll see how that plays out. In any case, Tech, thank you. Good to have you back. I'm sorry shit's worked out the way that it has, but
couldn't get the mute button.
Do your best to take care of yourself, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying.
And Brigid, I did not get to try out the Maker's Mark this time. Can't imagine why. Maybe next week.
You know, I had a buddy who loved that stuff. Like, he just could. It was his absolute favorite alcoholic beverage was Maker's Mark, and we got the chance to actually go to a Maker's Mark factory. He was like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. He was going bonkers. He was having the time of his life. He comes out. He's got like bottles of Maker's Mark in his hands like he's a kid in a candy store.
That's okay.
You're not going to like it.
Probably. You remember when we went to we walked across the I think it was the Rainbow Bridge, over at the duty free, that giant bottle that was on a swivel thing. Do you remember what the hell that stuff was?
I don't remember.
Whatever.
It was a really huge bottle.
It was. It was. Anyway, you take care of yourself too.
And for those wondering, we were actually in Kentucky. That's why I'll never go back there.
That would make sense. So, Brigid, it's been a couple of weeks. I don't know that you want to necessarily narrow yourself to one person that definitely needs to be told F you, but feel free to scattershot if you need to right now.
I'm going to give a big one to all these committee hearings that are full of shit. The people who are conducting those, just all go fuck yourselves.
Are we talking about the committee meetings that are looking to hold Hunter Biden in contempt for not appearing at the Senate hearings, only for him to show up at the Senate hearing that's talking about holding him in contempt for not showing up at a Senate meeting?
Yeah.
That was beautiful, wasn't it? And he got
what's his name? Moskowitz, I think his last name is. He was tearing it up.
Yeah.
I think he may be like one of my new favorite Congress critters.
That's kind of a low bar, you realize, of course.
Well, I mean, Jamie Raskin was one of my favorite ones, but this guy's moving up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm on board with you.
And Jasmine Crockett, wow. She can throw some down too. I mean, she's good. Like, yes, more of this, please.
Yep, there's that. You know what? I want to throw one out there. I will throw a big old cluster at everybody who said Chris Christie was worth paying attention to because he's turned a new leaf, because he was berating the former guy. Yeah, all of you.
Making fun of DeSantis.
No, never mind that part. The fact that Chris Christie was bootlicker and continued to be a bootlicker until it was no longer advantageous, and everybody said, some people went ahead and said, oh, he's a much nicer person now, obviously. No, he's not. Because he was a bootlicker, he was enjoying him being a bootlicker until it was no longer worthwhile. So, y'all can go fuck yourselves too. Next time we can go ahead and do Nikki Haley, but from what I've understood, that might be a take a number at the deli counter, or am I thinking of Bobert, or one of those. Anyway, I'm being very, very mean-spirited right now, and you know what? I don't really much care. And I'm realizing I'm rambling out because I am actually properly tired. Let's fix that. Thank you for being with us. As always, take a swing over to the website, holycrapthevlogcast.com. Audio version of the podcast is over there. We get it updated whenever we get it updated because we don't do this for money in any way, shape, or form. So when Dalan gets around to it, he gets around to it. So thank you, man. Appreciate it. I think the phone number is still available. I haven't checked recently. 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. Got all the social media stuff. I did not add the one for BlueSky on the list of stuff, but you know what? It's fine. Very likely in the semi-near future, I'm going to see about removing, very likely, Twitter. I don't know. We'll see. It's just been more a matter of that. It's just there because it's just there. There's very little interaction that really goes on over there. So, you know, whatever. You'll take care of yourselves. Please take care of yourselves. And we'll be looking forward to talking to you again real soon. Probably as early as next week. Assuming that we don't have a problem with the weather again. So till the next time we're together, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. Wish you well. Lady, it is 18 and a half years. I am still in love. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. And as always, until the next time we're together, good night.